everybody, Mike here, and if you're joining us for the first time in our Reflect Revelation series, I really encourage you to go back and listen to some of our previous sessions. You can find them at pcom.ca/live, which will take you to our YouTube channel, and they're all there. They'll give you some context for some of the imagery we're seeing in these letters in chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation. This week we're looking at the letter to the church in Smyrna. The second is 7 letters to the churches. So let's take a moment and just read Revelation 2, verses 8 to 11. To the angel of the church in Smyrna write, these are the words of him who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know but the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who is victorious will not be hurt at all by the second death. So each of these letters that we're looking at follows a very fairly structured composition. The first part of each letter begins with, to the angel of church of such and such a city. To address the angel of the church in Revelation is to address that church at large. For our letter today, it's addressed to the church in Smyrna. And following the greeting, we see Jesus introduced, and it changes with every letter, usually with some sort of description that deepens our understanding of who Jesus is and exalts Jesus. This introduction is not disconnected from that church either. It's often something that should remind the readers of the letter how Jesus is relevant to their situation, and today's no exception to that. So today's letter introduces Jesus as the first and the last who died and came to life again. Now, as we read in verses 9 and 10, the church in Smyrna was being persecuted. So this introduction, to Smyrna of Jesus, is a reminder that Jesus is the ultimate focus. Everything else in the world comes and goes, but Jesus is the first and the last. Jesus is eternal, the beginning and the end. And also Jesus is the one who overcomes death and is alive. This is a message of hope to Smyrna, to remind them that Jesus is sovereign over all, and that the struggles of this earth will pass, but Christ will still remain. So persevere. Hold on. Something better is coming. After Jesus is introduced, then we get to an evaluation of the church by Jesus, and then a response to Jesus' request of that church. And some of the responses can even include threat of judgment. But for Smyrna, because they're being persecuted, this is a really hopeful and encouraging message and evaluation of who they are, with no judgment or warning. And nor should there be. They are being faithful in the midst of persecution, and they're handling all they can, and they're doing it with faith. Jesus reminds them that despite their afflictions and poverty, they're actually rich. So what the world may see as poor and afflicted, they're rich because of their faithfulness and love for God, and that God is working on their behalf. And while they'll still suffer at times, and going forward there's still going to be suffering and hardship and persecution, he tells them not to be afraid of what they're about to suffer. And then finally, the title, the one who overcame death, the first and the last, comes to play as Jesus calls on them to be faithful, even to the point of death. For he will give you life as your victor's crown. Now think about the Olympic Games. Like, you're going to be the champion. You're going to be the winner of this race. And everybody else will be left behind, no matter what you've gone through, no matter what you've endured in this race. You're going to be the victor and enjoy the rewards and fruit of that. Jesus will reward them for overcoming the things of this world. And so find your hope in Jesus, who overcame death. He's led the way. He's made the path. And he'll lead you through that path to eternal life. And then at the end of each letter is a call to pay attention and a reward if the letter is heeded. And here we see the reminder that whoever has ears, let them hear. So anybody who's listening, pay attention to what the Spirit says to the churches. And then it says the one who is victorious will not be hurt at all by the second death. Think about that victor's crown again, the idea of the race. Whoever perseveres and endures in faithfulness, they're not going to be hurt by the second death. They're going to have eternal life. They're going to have hope. They're going to be a victor and enjoy the rewards of it. So for those suffering in Smyrna, to receive a message from Jesus recognizing their suffering, offering them hope as something far greater than this world, and recognizing them as those who will have the victor's crown. Wow, what an encouraging and sustaining message to them as they continue forward through a season of intense persecution. And for us, we should be reminded that life can be hard and difficult. But Jesus is the first and the last, and eternal life is found in him. So keep your eyes on Christ and be faithful to Him through all things. Endure the hardships we have with grace and humility, with your eyes on Christ, and enjoy the great reward we have in Jesus for enduring those struggles in this world with faithfulness. Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time when we go to the next letter to another church. So, blessings to you.